This is part 2 of a video about the full moon Pisces eclipse occurring on September 7th, 2025. The first part is an explanation of more in depth of what the eclipse is about. And I went to share my screen on that video, and for some reason when I played the video back, the screen wasn't shared. So this is the actual chart of the eclipse. So there's a few things that I wanted to point out in this part 2 of the eclipse video. First of all, the glitch that I had with my screen not being shared, many of us are finding that a lot of our electronics and things have been very glitchy and malfunctioning in very strange ways in the last week or so, and that may continue for a few more days because Virgo, which is the opposite of the Pisces eclipse, Virgo is the sign that is opposite Pisces, is where the sun is right now. And Pisces and Virgo energy are the axis of these eclipses, so they're going to be very, very heightened. And I speak about that on the first part of the video, which you can watch on Zenkuda on YouTube. But this area here, where you can see where the sun is in Virgo, we have the South Node there, which the South Node is representative of our past and the things that we feel comfortable doing, but maybe aren't really our soul path. You know, it's like being on a diet and overeating or eating the donut. We know it's not good for us, but we do it anyway because it's a habit. Or maybe we keep going into the same type of relationship, dating the same type of person, and ending up in the same place. So that's the South Node kind of energy in our lives. The soul comes in with wounds or imprints or habits that we're in this life supposed to move away from. That's the North Node, which is always opposite the South Node down here. So getting back to the reason why our computers and our electronics are glitchy is in this eclipse, we have the sun opposite the moon, which is why it's a full moon. The sun is illuminating the moon and vice versa. We have the two biggest illuminaries in the chart opposing each other. So they're reflecting each other. It's a full moon. A new moon is when they're together, which we're going to have on September 21st in Virgo. So this South Node is right next to the sun with this planet Mercury. And Mercury also rules Virgo. So it's making Mercury a little bit involved in this eclipse in a very potent way, because not only is it the ruler of the sign where the sun is, part of this eclipse, but it's also right next to the sun. So they're almost like during an eclipse, we have the shadow of the earth coming in front of either the moon or the sun, making it a lunar moon or a solar sun eclipse. This is a lunar eclipse, but Mercury is right there. So anything that's in the pathway or near this eclipse is getting eclipsed. Think about the lights flickering. It goes dark and light. If a shadow passes in front of something, it goes dark and light. We're in the darkness and then we're illuminated. That's classically the meaning of an eclipse, is that's why there's endings and beginnings, right? The light comes back, something ends, and then it begins again. It's eclipsed. If you've ever been taking a walk in the park or sitting out on your patio and ever had the experience, or maybe you're walking on the beach and you have the experience of a plane going overhead, and all of a sudden you're in a shadow on a beautiful sunny day for a fleeting moment as that plane passes in front of the sun and the sun casts a shadow on us. That's eclipse. That's an eclipse motion. So whenever we have an eclipse and something is brought into the darkness and then back into the light, whatever planets are really directly in line with that eclipse or conjuncting, meaning close by or together with the sun and moon, they will really play an important part in the eclipse. And we have Mercury right next to the sun in a 5-degree difference. You can see Mercury, this planet here, is at 10 degrees of Virgo. The sun is at 15 degrees of Virgo, and the South Node is at 18 degrees of Virgo. There's 30 degrees in each sign of the zodiac. So you want to go to your chart and look and see where this symbol right here, the symbol of Pisces, that's the house. You see a number in the middle of the chart. That is the house that it is affecting you, where this eclipse is really taking place. So traditionally speaking, you want to focus on that house wherever it is in your chart. In mine, it's the 3rd house. And this is a chart of the moment where the planets are right now in the world, in the universe. And you want to go to that house wherever Pisces, this symbol, is for you. And that's going to be the focus of this eclipse. But of course, there are other factors, like I said yesterday. We have Mars, the planet that is our action and our activity, at 20 degrees of Libra. That's really focusing in on relationships. Libra is the part of our chart where it's the relationship axis, the relationship with others and ourselves. I talked a lot about the meaning of the Pisces energy in part 1 of the video, and now I'd like to go back to talking about the Virgo aspect of this video. So Virgo, as I said in part 1, is the origin story. What that means is, what's the origin of you? What really began your life? What is the story of your life? For some people, the story is one of luck and benevolence. And, I was born into a beautiful place and I've had nothing but luck my whole life. And I'm privileged and I'm, grateful and all these wonderful things. For others, your origin story may involve betrayal or loss or envy, or maybe perhaps your problem is overindulgence or very narcissistic behaviors, or maybe you've been a victim of those things. I hate to use the word victim. And in the Virgo energy of this eclipse, it's going to return us to that origin story. Whatever has been the driving force in your life and really kind of made you tick, so to speak. And so that combined with the Pisces energy, Pisces is an energy of dissolving boundaries, of dissolving things in our material world so that we must go back to source. A perfect example is when we're in adversity or we have huge challenges, what's the first thing we do? We pray. We go back to God. We go to some kind of structured religion or some kind of spiritual behavior. Challenge and adversity, our story of origin, the losses that we face, the abductions that happen in our life, sometimes are a catalyst for us returning to source and understanding what really and truly is meaningful. And that's going to start to come out in this eclipse. Not so much like a huge epiphany, I have to go on, some kind of religious track, but what will often happen in an energy like this, where we have the moon in Pisces with the North Node and also Saturn and Neptune returning back to that Pisces energy where they were for many years, and then they're retrograding there, and then they'll go back to Aries. All this energy in Pisces and all this energy in Virgo is playing out in our lives right now by bringing up the origin stories for us and holding it against what we value, what is most important for us in our life, and the future. How do we want to continue in our life? And what changes have to be made? What adjustments do we have to do? What boundaries do we have to bring back into our life that have been dissolved by that origin story in order to feel more of our self-worth, adjust to have more value, and adjusting and changing things that bring us more into our own competency? Where have these origin stories disempowered us, and where do we need to embrace things that empower us into our own uniqueness? And that's going to be amplified by this little planet down here who's not little at all, and that's Pluto. Retrograde right now, bringing us into contemplation and deep thought about those things I just described. In Aquarius, which is a archetype of our own uniqueness and embracing that. Whatever it is that we've been taught or told was making us not good enough or strange, or we should stop that behavior because it doesn't fit in with things that we are trying to fit in with, society or cultural beliefs or family. For me, I'm an astrologer. I'm a spiritual person who believes in the afterlife, and I believe in the occult as far as tarot as a predictive tool, Reiki as an energy healing, and I also am psychic. But I was brought up in an extremely rigid Catholic background. And so there's many people in my family that I know would not approve of everything that I do or understand it. But I had to overcome that and embrace who I authentically am. And that's an example of what this is about. Maybe for you, it's religious or spiritual, or maybe for you, it's something else. Maybe you have a hobby or a sport or something that you like to do. Your career, for instance, doesn't fit in with the paradigm or the box of what you were meant to do in your life. And so we're trained and taught to think and behave and be a certain way. Maybe those stories of origin made us insecure enough so that we're always in codependency. And maybe in this eclipse, we are going to see how our boundaries have dissolved that way and are preventing us from really living that origin story in the way it's meant to, pushing us into our competency and revealing for us where we are actually empowered and most strong, and stepping into our own autonomy, our own individualism, and our own uniqueness to live the full potential of what our soul's desire is. Maybe your soul's desire is just to be free and be liberated from those codependent relationships or those habitual patterns that make you feel stifled or suppressed or regressed. And so it could even be something like a parent-child relationship where in very subtle ways the parent wants to keep you a child and you need to set boundaries and break out from that in order for your soul to live its potential and desire. But all of these things with this particular full moon coming in, with the planets here in Pisces and Virgo really coming into huge energy, all of it is coming in for each person on this planet. The way we need to deal and embrace that energy is different for all of us, and the way we choose to embrace or resist that energy is going to be our choice. And choice is very important here, because if you notice in this chart something very interesting, we have Saturn and Neptune in the first degrees of their chart, of their signs, of their houses. Neptune is still in the first degree of Aries, but they're retrograding, so they're going back. That's why this energy here, you can see, if I enlarge this, you can see Saturn just went back, this is Saturn, to 29 degrees of Pisces. This line marks that divination of the house. Each house is 30 degrees. So Neptune is still at first degrees of Aries, but you can see this little R here, which means it's retrograde. It's slowing down as the world keeps revolving forward. So in a few days, Neptune will be at 29 degrees of Pisces, as Saturn is. But the important thing about that is each of these signs has been lately, for the last few months, in the first degrees of signs. Neptune, which is the dissolution of boundaries. Where does my soul really want to be? Anything is possible as long as Saturn helps me set up the structure for that. Pluto is in the first degrees of Aquarius, which is our individuation. What is the soul's desire as far as facing our own potential and uniqueness in this life? Where do we need to transform? And then we have Uranus here in the first degrees of Gemini, which is our communication. Does our style of communication, the way that we operate in the world, need to change? And Uranus is going to show us that awakening. It's retrograde, shortly going back to Taurus, which I'll do another video on these retrogrades and what they mean. But for now, Uranus in the first degrees of Gemini is challenging us to communicate and operate in a different way in our life as far as the way that we present ourselves to the world, the way we communicate, the way we allow others to communicate with us, and the way we communicate with ourselves. And each one of these planets is in the first degrees of signs because they've just recently moved into those signs and changed the energy in the world. And that's why this energy is so potent. All of the signs are pushing us towards the individuation of our soul, the uniqueness, what makes us an individual as opposed to being like so many. What makes us stand out? What is truly the gifts that we were given when our soul came here to live and be part of this world? And so, we have to really think about what those things are and take action in this energy, because we have an opportunity now. The planets are moving into, like gears in a places where they've never been before for thousands of years. We're coming into, in 2026, a new time, a new birth. We must make choices now that really are in alignment with what our soul really wants to do and how we can flourish and thrive. Gone are the tolerances of the things that we used to endure, and we just went along to get along, and our soul is screaming for liberation. So think really strongly in this eclipse when things come up. And, eclipses rock things. They make changes that are permanent. But this is the beginning of them. As this month progresses in September 2025, you're going to see a lot of changes. A lot of changes in the world. We have this planet here, Venus in Leo, which is all about the things that we value and how we present them and expose ourselves to the world. Things will be exposed here and revealed to us for our own awakening and truth. But are we willing to accept them, adjust our lives, and make the changes so that they become our authentic truth, not someone else's? And I'll leave us with that. Please be gentle with yourselves during these eclipses. It's very important to ground in earth, You may want to be more around trees instead of water right now. Bring some earthly things into your life. It's a time when we can be very industrious and find clarity if we give ourselves the space to do that. It's a time to clear out and clean out, and hopefully we can be gentle with any conflicts that arise and with the others who sometimes respond to conflict in an aggressive way out of fear and unsafety. Let's keep ourselves safe and contribute gentleness and more love and expand love in the world during this beautiful and potent time. We'll leave you with the last thought, and this is this. Pay attention. In an energy like this, we are given signs, omens, thoughts, psychic hits, and the world is showing us, the universe is showing us, Creator is showing us exactly our path. This North Node with the moon illuminating it is showing us our true identity. Saturn is giving us the structure to put it in place, and Neptune is giving us the boundless, beautiful connection to Source that makes it possible. Happy full moon blessings. Enjoy this beautiful time. Full moons and eclipse season. Full moon energy lasts several days, and eclipse season is usually several months. We're going to see changes up until the next cycle of eclipses, which happens next spring. So bring in this energy in a beautiful way. Know that this is a seeding moment, which will culminate more at the end of this month when we have our new moon in Virgo and the solar eclipse. Blessings, and stay gentle in love and in love. You can find me on zenkuda.com if you want to book a reading to find out your personal path and what your soul through the lens of evolutionary astrology is showing you. I am Georgia Rose, zenkuda.com, and you can see more videos on Zenkuda at YouTube. Please subscribe.